Hello, folks, and welcome back to the Britt Kanawha West Hancock Athletics Podcast. Dan Kroll here, June 3rd, 2025. This is episode 135. And tonight, kind of weird for me, I got my parents and my brother on here for a Mark's Pizza and Video reunion episode, as well as several of their former employees. So I know this is a sports podcast for the most part, but we're going to veer away from that a little bit and just talk about some past business in the Brit community. So, Piccadilly Circus Pizza, Mark's Pizza and Video from 1985 to 2002 that my parents owned. Have a good time talking about that. But before we get there, like always, this podcast exists to raise money for the Bob and Linda Sanger Legacy Fund. I have three categories of sponsors. I got a bunch of them, as you can see on my background, so I want to make sure we get those recognized here right away. In the honoring legends section, we have Billy Dahlman, the Hartman family, and Paul Hauge. Thanks to Ben Hartman for putting Billy on there, Dale and Kelly Hartman for putting their family on there, and Rachel Schultz for putting Coach Hauge on there as well. They gave the $400 lifetime sponsorship fee to get them honored there. Episode to episode sponsors, I have Lehman Family Dental in Clear Lake, Johnson Drainage, Stevens Realty, and Pat Kelly and his new book, K-State's Wrestling Legacy. You can go to Amazon.com and order Pat's book if you haven't already. Then I have lifetime sponsors. These companies, businesses, individuals gave $400 and they're on every one of my episodes. That's Levi Dunn Trucking, Window World of Mason City, Doug and Kathy Zool, Pritchard's Auto, Ewing Funeral Home and Monument Company, Triple B's Food Trucks, Swenson's Hardware, Zach and Chris Schlugger, Nick Schmidt, Kelly Real Estate, the Brit Car Truck Bike and Tractor Night Cruises and Mojo Productions, Mike Muth Welding, Stacy and Carrie Gopel, Main Salon, Jason Gardner with Whipple's Hybrids, the Brit Seed Company, Deemer Realty, the Benning family, the Brit Bar and Grill, Trolson Auto Parts, Cliff Howlett, the Brit Vet Clinic, and Richard Wubin with B&B Egg Sales. So again, thank you to all those sponsors for giving to the Sanger Legacy Fund. Like always, the Bob and Linda Sanger Legacy Fund gives scholarships every year. They fund the Hall of Fame. We support any athletic and activity funds at West Hancock or anything in the towns where there is a need. So if you want to give to the podcast, sponsor the podcast, get a hold of me. If you simply want to give to the Sanger Legacy Fund, you can go to sangerstrong.com and do that. Couple episodes to highlight here from way back when. 50 episodes ago on episode 85, I talked to the 1956 state runner-up wrestling team from Britt. And 100 episodes ago on episode 35 was Duane Cook, a two-time state wrestling champion. All right, let's start with some introductions here. Enough of me talking. We're going to start up in the corner there with Monica and Carrie, move over to Denise, go down to Gail, to Blanche, and then end with the Crawls. So, Monica, go ahead.
I'm Monica Smith. My husband Tony. We live here in Britt. I have one son, Dylan. He's going to be a senior at UNI this year. Um, I work at Buchanan Law Office in Algona. I've been there for 36 and a half years. So yeah, right when I left Mark's Pizza, I worked over at Buchanan. So yeah, I've been there ever since.
And what years did you work for my folks? Do you remember?
1986 when they first opened through 1988.
Okay. Carrie?
Hi, everyone. I'm Carrie Terhark. I was Carrie Tangeman. I married Monica's brother, who used to harass me when I worked at Mark's Pizza. So thank you, Mark and Shelda, for that. That's where we met. And I also still live here in Britt, raised my family here. I own my own business, a business consulting and training organization. And I worked, I think, from about 92, 91 or 92 until I graduated in 96. And then I continued to pop in and fill in, I think, until it was sold. So,
All right. Denise?
I'm Denise Valerie Sterling, married to Todd. I worked at Piccadilly's from right before you were born, Dan. Was that 85 or 86?
86. Yep.
Till I graduated in 88 and went to college that August. Um, I have three kids, 28, 20, and 13. And I work as a speech pathologist in a local school district down here in one of the suburbs of Kansas City.
Nice. Gail?
Gail Jurdy was Gail Johansson. I believe I worked like the summer of 89 through 92, I think is what it was. So I think I was there for Piccadilly's and then when we transitioned to Mark's Pizza. But I still live in Britt and I'm a hairstylist, have a salon in my home, and I also work at Britt Bar and Grill. So I just help over the lunch hours. Monday through Friday is all there. So I have three kids and married to Mark Dirty and live here in Britt.
Nice. Blanche.
Yes, I want to thank your family for hiring me because I'm really glad I made it one night. Really good day. I mean, I got this plaque. So I worked from 1986 to 2000. So I enjoyed every minute of it. Dan picked on us a little bit, but we enjoyed the whole thing. And I moved to Britt. My husband died 21 years ago, and I bought a condo, and I love it here in Britt. And my grandkids come over after school. They live 3 blocks away, so it's a challenge and it's fun. So thanks again.
Good. And the Crawls. Eric, might as well start us off here.
I'm Eric. I'm Dan's youngest brother. Mark and Shelda are my parents. I live here in Buffalo Center. I work for Egg Performance. It's an agriculture company selling seed and foliar products. And I do a little bit of carpentry work on the side. And yeah, this is where I'm at.
Shelda.
I'm Shelda Kroll, and I obviously live in Buffalo Center with this wonderful guy. And yeah, I'm just pretty much retired and enjoy my grandkids. And we have 3 kids all together. So yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember what year we closed down there, Dan? Was it 2004?
2002.
2002.
Yep. Yep. It was
Okay.
right after my freshman year of high school, right before sophomore year. Yep, July.
Yeah. After that, we lived in the Chows for another year or two before we moved up. They talked us into running the barn, the golf course clubhouse up here at the barn. So we moved back to Buffalo Center to do that. And we did that off and on for about 15 years. And then I've done some captain's choice work. My routes were up around the Twin Cities and then Wisconsin and Southern Iowa. Kind of semi-retired now, and a couple days a week I drive little baby chicks down to the post office in Des Moines for whelps out of Bancroft. It's Rock Hill Genetics now, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then,
go ahead.
no, you'd said you guys gave it up in 2002 because you were tired of 6 nights a week of standing in front of oven doing the same thing over and over again. And then a year later, you took on an even harder job at the barn that was 7 days a week, 16-hour days most of the year. And I was like, yep, good move there. So we always talk about the what ifs if you guys would have just stuck around Mark's Pizza for another 5 to 10 years. You never know what
Yeah,
that
we never claimed to be smart.
yeah. I don't know if most people in the restaurant business are because the ungodly hours.
I don't
Yeah.
know. My favorite part was always coming to work right after school and listening to Mark go through Jeopardy and knowing every answer in Jeopardy. I was just amazed. I thought you're the smartest person ever.
And he still watches Jeopardy to this day and answers a lot of them.
You know those were all reruns, right? So
That's what I was. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah. Well, Mom and Dad, tell everybody how it came to be in 1985 that Piccadilly Circus Pizza came to be. I know my grandpa Elroy had a little bit to do with that. They had Mr. K's in Buffalo. What's the story behind buying that building on Main Street and starting Piccadilly's?
Well, we got to go back a little bit. My dad was a surveyor, and we'd go out surveying for tile in fields and stuff, terraces and whatever. In the little coffee shop, donut shop up in Buffalo Center, and we'd stop in there at lunch or to have coffee and stuff. And he kept telling the lady, you should do this, you should do that, and you'd make a lot more money. And finally one day she said, Elroy, why don't you just buy the place and then you can do all that? So a while later, he made her an offer about half of what he thought everything was worth, and she took it. So now all of a sudden we're in the restaurant business. So we're helping them get all that up and running. And one day a guy walks in from Piccadilly Circus Pizza out of Milford, wants to know if we want to be a franchisee with them. So we decided to do that, started in Buffalo Center, and after about a year's time, we decided it wasn't enough for two families to make a living there. Or mom and dad's decided that. So they were down in Britt, I think, visiting somebody, and they saw the for sale sign in Krause's variety store window. Well, they called them up and looked at the building, decided to, then they came back and asked us if we wanted to make a pizza place down there. And we kind of thought, well, okay, we'll try it. And so he bought the building, hired a carpenter, Harlan Ekoff. He built the kitchen around there, and he got all the equipment from Lake Equipment, Clear Lake. That guy came over and set everything up, and this was in August, I believe. I think they went down to visit at Hobo Days. And then, of course, my dad, if he knew him, he's like, well, we're going to open in a week. And we're like, no, that's not going to happen. But anyway, we got it up and going by October 3rd. And didn't know if it was going to last a month, a year, or whatever. And we ended up being there 18 years.
Yeah. It was originally called Mr. K's 2 Piccadilly Circus Pizza. So
Yes. I don't know if you can see pictures on there. Can you see that?
yep.
Yep.
Or is it sideways?
No, you got it. You're good. You're
Okay.
a man of technology, Dad. You know
Yeah,
how to
we found some old pictures. And then when it was Mark's Pizza, we read it
Mark's, yeah.
inside.
Yeah.
Nice. Who was your first employee?
Verla Schmidt. I had a note paper with all these names written down. We tried to think of every employee, and then we couldn't get our computer going on the Zoom, so we came across town to another place here. And I forgot all that stuff back at the house.
Great. Does Eric need to go back and get it?
Maybe, or we can just go without it. We can do. I don't know. Do you want to know everybody? You want to see more pictures or not? Or is that
It's up to you.
not a good thing?
So we could spend like an hour talking about Verla and Jerry here. Where do we start?
Verla, I think, was our very first, and then Monica was our very first
Yep.
kid.
Yep. Yep.
And I don't remember who was all in that first wave with you. Brenda,
Brenda.
Denise,
Yep.
was Jeff Michael in that?
Yeah, I don't remember him.
Don't remember that? Seemed like he
Alan
was.
Eden, I remember him.
Right, Alan Eden,
Steve Van Buren
Van Dusseldorp.
or Van Dusseldorp. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. How many people would you have on staff at a time? Like if one, you'd have like 6 or 7 to kind of rotate through, or how many was that? Do you remember usually?
I don't remember, probably.
Yeah.
And then after we were open about 6 months, Blanche joined us. She's been working at Dummett Bakery. And then they closed, I believe, Blanche. And then
No,
we
I
hired
just,
Blanche.
I worked both jobs. I would leave there and then come to your establishment. Yeah, and did that till they closed, because then Bill Dummett had a heart attack. So they closed. Yeah.
Yeah. I tell you how much it's changed. When these guys started, $1.85 an hour. That was minimum wage.
It was money.
I think I got 201.
Oh.
201.
Oh,
I
When you
don't
were
remember
paid.
what my wage was.
I remember it wasn't much. At the time, it's just what it was, but
Yeah.
now you look back and wow, kids won't work for less than $15 an hour now, I don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Monica, and Denise, you were kind of the first high school kids working for them. Was there a little swag at school when like I get to go get free pizza and get to, work at a pizza place? Was there any competition when there was a job opening, do you remember, at the high school?
I don't remember. I don't think so. I just remember I really didn't like a whole lot of different kinds of pizzas, but Mark would just make whatever he made and that's what you ate at night. And so, yeah, I got to like a lot of the different toppings because you had to eat what Mark made for that night. Otherwise you went hungry. I remember that.
That's why you asked Blanche to make the pizza.
I think I asked everybody what they wanted. Then I made what I wanted anyway.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you would put different toppings on. I was just plain beef, and Tony still is plain beef and cheese. But now the mushrooms and all that other extra stuff. So yeah, I got to like that because you would make those pizzas and you just ate it.
Yeah,
Mark,
well, that's how you got your nickname, right?
But oh, Hemi,
Hemi, short for hemorrhoid. Pain in the butt.
and then I call you loser.
Here's a picture of us when we first started.
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
you
I
look
think
the
the
same.
I think the mustache needs to make a comeback.
Yeah, probably not.
Uh, uh, so Blanche, what hours would you work at Dummett's, and then what hours would you work at Piccadilly's?
I got off at 5:30, and then I'd come two doors down and go and work there for a while until closing.
Okay. And when did you get there at Dummett's in the morning or in the afternoon?
No, I'd go at noon. I'd help Bill farm in the morning, and then I help from 12 to 5:30.
Okay. And then 5:30 to 9 or 10.
Yeah, Mark, remember the night the bus came in after we had everything cleaned up? Does your dad remember
It
that?
happened a lot, but yeah, yeah.
I called Bill already. I'm coming home. I always called him before I left town, and okay, pretty soon I'd call him back. Oh, the bus just stopped. That was fun.
Like a high school football team or what?
What's that?
Like a bus, like a high school football team or something would stop by?
I don't remember what it was, but
Yeah, it was school kids. It was
yeah,
all kids.
who
But I want
knows?
to tell you about your Mark's Pizza. When the kids got hungry, they'd say, Blanche, make a mistake. And then that's what they ate the mistake.
Yep.
Until that one fateful day on May 1st, 1992, was it?
Yeah.
When Blanche did good. The joke behind that is
I'm so glad I did good.
she had a self-proclaimed great day at work and she wrote it on marker on the wall in the kitchen.
No, I wrote it.
Oh, you wrote it. Okay. Did good that day.
Blanche was so excited. Oh, I did good. I did good. I did good. And I wrote it up on the wall and dated it. Blanche did good on that date.
Now they painted over it
Sure.
when they removed.
33 years later. Yeah, I know. Yep. So Mark and Shelda, you had like a 1-year-old and Wendy at the time when you started this thing. How did that work with like childcare, or was that when Hattie came into play?
I don't remember. We were driving back and forth from a farm up by Buffalo Center the first year or so. So I don't
But
remember what we did with her this.
maybe grandma, probably grandma.
Yeah.
Grandma Van
Then
Tire.
when you came along, I think
Yeah.
that's from Patty.
Yeah, it really wasn't a problem until the second kid came along.
And I want the record to show that I was every employee's favorite kid at the restaurant. I never bothered anybody. I was always just
They're all shaking their
perfectly
heads.
good.
No.
I really wish Verla was here because I was gonna, if she was still around, or Jerry, I would have a basketball right now. I'd be bouncing that during the whole episode. So
It was my favorite when she launched that basketball over Main Street.
how many times do you think she actually did that though? Just a couple?
Enough.
Yeah, but my thing was, I look back at that now and go, Verla, you threw my ball across oncoming traffic. Like Main Street was busy. Like there's cars coming both directions all the time. She's like, I don't care. Get rid of the ball.
Just get it out of here.
Yeah. And the more it bugged her, I think the more I was like, here we go. I'm surprised she didn't quit. Yeah. So no, I was, yeah, having a one, when I was, by the time I was born, Wendy was about what, 2. Just how do you work a restaurant 6, 7 days a week with two little kids. That's got to be a challenge. So
Yeah, it was 7 days a week for probably 10 years.
with dining, um,
Yes.
what made you eventually get away from the dining in part?
Oh, we got too many movies. We had nowhere else to go with them anymore. And I think we were getting a little burned out on the late hours.
Yeah.
So it just became easier and a place for all the movies to go and easier for us to clean up and like I say, then you didn't have a bus coming in at the last minute, 2 minutes before closing and sitting down, keeping you for 2 more hours.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Was a large percentage of your sales takeout anyway?
yeah, I would say 80% of them were takeout to begin with. So then the people who would eat in still got them. So I don't think we lost much.
Yeah. Just simpler,
Yeah.
simpler overhead. Yeah. And speaking of the movies, how'd that story begin with? Because it started with just pizza, and then I can't remember what year I put in here. 88, late 88 or early 89. How'd you acquire that movie store?
Well, Dee Drawback had a movie store. I think her name was Drawback, wasn't it? You guys remember? And where Dummett's Bakery was.
Mhm.
And we got to talking, me and her, about making a combination of pizza and movies, a package to go together, putting a deal out on flyers and stuff like that. And eventually she just said, why don't you just buy the movies? I'm ready to be done with them anyway. And then you can put them over in your store. And so that's what we ended up doing. I think there was 800 and some that I bought from her. And by the time we were done, I think we had, I don't know, you said 4,000 maybe, Dan?
I thought VHSs got up to like 3,600, and then we had like 7 or 800 DVDs by the time it was said and done. But
I remember having over 6,000 at one time, but I don't know what that all included.
yeah, we were thinking
When
maybe
we
it's
went,
duplicates.
yeah.
So employees, when the movies came into play, or if you're a little bit maybe younger than a couple, like that always were the movies that you remember, what element did that add to your job and the perk of being a Mark's Pizza employee, getting the movie rentals?
I love the movie rentals. I felt like, I don't know, the tips weren't good for for Eden. And a lot of times we were serving our peers who had no money. And I remember Craig and his friends coming in and five of them just getting up enough money to have a pizza. And then they just drank water and they were annoying and they made a mess and it was frustrating. So I loved the movies. And at the end of the night, if there was a movie that didn't go out, you could take it home and then bring it back. So I watched a lot of movies in the 90s.
Denise, were the movies there when you were working?
No,
Yeah.
no, I left in August of 88.
Okay, so you must have just missed them by, like I said, late 88, early 89 is what I found in my research. So, yeah.
So Gail would have been there. You were there
Yeah,
for
yep.
movies.
I remember writing the names and stuff on recipe cards and
Yeah.
that's how we kept track of everything.
And then putting them on holders.
Okay, yep, yep.
Having to
next
call
day,
them when it was 5 o'clock and they hadn't returned it yet, and the
Yes.
other person was standing at the desk waiting for it.
Yep, that was always a headache.
The late charge sign on the hot box on the side of by the register, it was like the list of shame, like who owed money for late fees. And um, I always remember people like, I paid that. And I'm like, he hasn't updated the list yet. They'd be crossed off with a pin. And I'm like, what's stopping people from just crossing their own name off when no one's looking, I guess. But
We hated to do that, but we almost had to make people accountable if they didn't want their name on there to get them back in time. Because they didn't realize how much those things cost. They were $65 to $80 a piece. And you rent them for $2, it takes you 2 months just to break even on them. And if you don't have them back in time, you can't rent them again the next night.
yeah.
And they run their course fairly quickly, and then all of a sudden nobody wants that movie anymore. So that was a constant battle.
Yep.
90% of all people were good at getting them back, but you always had that 10% that you had to deal with.
And we had a couple that either never got returned or they'd get returned completely damaged. Was it Crazy Horse never came back? We stopped keeping track of late fees after like $300. We're like, yeah, we're never seeing that movie again.
That
Uh,
movie left town.
I don't know. Yeah, they'd come back mangled up once in a while. I had a little kit where I'd take them apart and snip out the bad parts and splice them back together. And usually it was at the beginning where the previews were at, so it didn't affect the movie much. But or somebody'd have dirty VCRs and it would just smear up the tape. And
Yeah, I think one guy once had it in the back of his car, like in the rear window, and it was 100 degrees or something. It like melted some of it, and I think he put a $10 bill in there or something. I remember you saying, he goes, "Here's to buy a new one." You're like, "No, that's a $70 movie," and
yeah,
you trying to screw me over? It's like, no, that's how much it costs.
I didn't say that.
Something like that. Yeah.
One of the worst things we had happen, we used to rent VCRs,
Hmm.
and somebody had rented one, and uh, it was in the apartments across the street up above somewhere, or the green apartment, some apartment back there, I don't know. And they had cockroaches.
Ooh.
Got in our VCR, brought it back to us, and all of a sudden we started seeing bugs, and we had to fumigate the whole place because of it.
Hmm.
So that was fun.
Does anyone remember any specific numbers that correlated with a movie in the movie store? Anyone still have any core memories of those?
I don't have any movie numbers, but I know pizza. I know people's pizza orders still.
Uh, just last summer, mom and dad sold off the last couple hundred movies at their garage sale. And my wife and I are sitting there manning the garage sale, and a lady has like 4 or 5 VHS tapes in her hand. And I saw one of the Star Wars movies. And I poked my wife and I said, "Watch this." And I said, "Ma'am, that second movie from the top of your pile, is there a little sticker on there that says number 77?" And she looked at it and she goes, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Still got it." And my wife was super impressed with me.
I bet.
Yeah, she's like, "Yeah, anniversaries, birthdays, you ever forget those, you're a dead man because you remember that." Son-in-law was number 280. The Sword in the Stone was number one. For some reason, some of those numbers just won't ever leave my head. So, Blanche, do you remember any of those?
Yeah, not really. Not really. I just remember the kids playing the videotapes, but I wasn't that involved with the movies. For some reason, I don't think you trusted me with that.
Well, not until you did good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just never did, I guess.
Yeah,
So
I think your hours didn't really mesh with the movies.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think you came in and you were in the kitchen doing pizza, and yeah.
First night I worked there, I had told Dan that it was Super Bowl Sunday. That was my first day.
Whew.
I don't think from bending over, I don't think I stood up for about maybe an hour and a half. You bought a pizza, a large pizza, and I think you either got the second one free or you got it half price. Remember that, Mark?
I don't remember a lot of that stuff. Sorry. I remember, yeah, dumb stuff.
Oh my gosh, does my back take this? It didn't.
Is that why you had back surgery a couple weeks ago, Blanche? Is it
Oh,
still back to
yeah,
1986?
It's not It's
Workman's
not
comp
happening.
might come into play
Hey,
here.
hey, Dan,
Yeah.
you're not welcome.
I'm doing fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I was looking on the Brit newspaper archives. You guys advertise like weekly in those things with little coupons and stuff. Um, just some of the ones I saw was New Year's Eve of '85. There was for a $1 delivery fee. Jerry Schmidt would deliver your pizza, and the one Super Bowl year he did the Icky Shuffle or something. You guys had him do a
Yeah,
dance with each delivery and wearing his like white New Balance sneakers and stuff, doing a Super Bowl shuffle. And Valentine's Day '86, every seventh pizza that got called in was free. So I'm just picturing people constantly calling to try to be the seventh caller or whatever. But mom and dad said they don't remember most of that. Um, you just did so many advertisements, it all probably blends together. So, but apparently those coupons in the paper had to have paid off. You did it almost every week throughout the year.
Yeah, they did good. Well, the flyers, there were inserts, most of them, and then Roger Tweeting down in Kanawha, his paper, he would look and see what we were doing in the Brit paper, and he would just do it, and then he'd send me a bill for $5. I think it was like incredibly cheap advertising, and I gave him the go ahead. I said, "Yep, do that all you want."
And
He
everyone
did.
read the paper back then. That was like a main form of communication. So a lot of eyeballs were on that.
Yep, yep.
Mom, were you ever upset that it wasn't Mark and Shelda's pizza and video, or how'd that decision, how was that made?
That didn't seem fair. I don't know why. I think I did a lot of work too.
So he could go
Right?
golfing.
She was
Agree.
too busy.
What was that? What is that?
He was looking for something to eat, I think.
She was tired of the pizza.
I had all the dirty jobs.
And she worked the nights where dad wanted to go golfing. So she,
Besides juggling the kids.
Or Mark would just go golfing and then tell us not to tell Shelda that he went golfing. And then Verla or I would be up there and Mark would be golfing or coming late. And oh, I wasn't supposed to say that, was I?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's out at the golf course.
You guys make it sound like I was golfing all the time, and I wasn't.
Well, in the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, just in the summer.
It was interesting how we named it Mark's Pizza. When we were going away from Piccadilly's, we ran a contest to name it, give it the new name. And the winner was going to get whatever, a couple large pizzas or something. People were coming in with all kinds of names, putting it in the box. I bet you we had 500 or more entries for new names. Most of them weren't very good. We looked through all them names and came up with Mark's Pizza.
That's like when they started the college football playoff. They did like $1 million worth of studies to figure out how to brand and name this new thing. And they came up with the college football playoff is what they named the college football playoff. So yeah, that's pretty standard. Do you remember any of the other names?
Oh, that's Amore. That's one I kind of remember. You remember, you guys probably don't remember the Dean Martin song, That's Amore?
Yeah.
Big, yeah, there's a moon in the sky like a big pizza pie. That's Amore. That's one that I remember.
Yeah, Mark's Pizza sounds better and better.
I don't remember any other ones, but there was a lot of weird ones, crazy ones, some kind of good ones, but for some reason we just went simple.
Girls and Blanche, talk about some other employees that worked. We had Aaron Benton, Aaron Brown, Jolene, Lear now. I'm gonna go with current last names for the most part, but there's Verla.
Oh,
Verla.
Who are some other employees you guys worked with that you have memories of? Some stories you can tell?
No, Rachel Zool.
Yep.
Well, this one,
And she's wearing that apron right now, aren't you, Blanche?
Yes, I am. Right here.
Yes. There you go.
This was my our Christmas gift
Mark's Pizza.
for 1992.
Ooh, it's
there's
What's it say?
oh, Christy Thompson.
Oh, yes.
she's the other one I had a nickname for. Called her Foghorn. She had no indoor voice. Loud.
She's a vet now, a
Yeah.
veterinarian.
Yep.
Kept having to say, Christy, quiet down a little bit.
I just can remember one night, the Bohemian names are written and spelled differently. And I was making this pizza and it said rubbish. I thought, who is rubbish? It was rubbish. Forget that.
Hrubes. Yep.
Once we got caller ID, that's how I learned to spell all of those names.
Does anyone remember the two numbers
Oh,
of
that's
Mark's
me.
Pizza?
Yeah.
I remember that picture that hung up in the wall for a long time.
Oh, no.
Does anyone remember the two numbers of Mark's Pizza? The main number was what?
4,600.
And the side one was
2,900? No.
I don't know what the
3407, I'm pretty sure.
Yep. Now that you say it, 3407.
Yep. And I'm pretty sure that was my first debit card PIN number for a couple years. I just remembered it. So, yeah. What else
That's
you
a
got
good one
there?
to Brenda.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The green
You guys see
carpet
that
and the old
pretty good?
couch. Talk about some of the Christmas parties we had upstairs in the apartment. I remember Bill, Blanche's husband, harassing me all the time. It didn't matter what was going on, he was finding a way to poke at me a little bit. I didn't deserve any of it, I'm sure.
No, you didn't. No, that's too bad. I have to apologize for him.
Yeah.
I remember he got a lottery ticket and won $100, wasn't it?
Hmm.
Oh, he didn't share that with me.
Yeah, well, we kept saying that you need to take us out for a meal somewhere, and I don't think it happened yet.
Probably not. No, I told you, Shelda, Bill said I owe you a meal.
Yeah, we're
Pizza.
gonna do that.
Yep, we'll do that.
Yeah.
I remember the one year at Christmas, you guys took us to a restaurant in Buffalo Center, and then we went and saw the
That
silent.
one maybe?
Oh, yeah, that would be it.
This
Yeah,
was
we-
an 87, it says on there.
At the
That,
barn.
that looks like
At
the barn, yeah.
Uh-huh. We went to see the silo house.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Uh-huh. That was quite a place.
I remember one time, wasn't Northwestern Steakhouse we went to, or some of you went to, and I got to tag along.
That was either Blanche's retirement party, maybe, or Burles. Maybe we did both.
I,
Did they retire about the same time?
No. I don't remember exactly who. I think Brill retired first, didn't she?
was she not well? I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
Yeah.
Something about a basketball, I think, if I remember right. So,
She didn't want to go to jail for.
talk about Burla
Yeah.
a little bit. She was a character. I remember growing up in church. They sat in the same spot every week. She was always at the restaurant giving us a hard time. Talk about Verla and Jerry a little bit. What do you remember about them?
Well, they helped us a lot. Like I said, she was our first employee, and she's the one that would take over when we had something to go do. Very faithful employee, always there, and Jerry was always willing to help.
She was a good worker.
Make deliveries. Jerry would anytime we'd run any kind of delivery deal. Haul pizzas out to the fairgrounds for fair and draft horse show, and yeah, he is. If we needed any help with anything, you call Jerry. He'd be up there.
Yeah, they were kind of like a second mother to all of us girls, I think.
Yeah.
Both of them, like, yeah.
Yeah, Blanche was the crazy aunt.
I was what I am.
Oh, there's Monica.
Yeah, there's me and Denise.
Is that Denise?
Yeah. That's you, Denise, isn't it?
Let me see.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Back a little bit. There you go.
There you
Am I
go.
getting too? You have to let me know
There you
if
go.
I gotta move it a little.
I can let you know.
Real quick about Jerry. 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, I always, at Hobo Days, go stand at Peg Eisman's house for the parade. Jerry and Brenda would always be across the street at the Armstrong house. And I'd always pop over before the parade and talk to Jerry. And Wendy's birthday always fell like Hobo Day weekend, August 10th. And he goes, "Hey, tell your sister happy birthday for me." And I'm like, "How the heck do you remember my sister's birthday?" And he goes, "Verla had all of your birthdays, your mom's, your dad's, your brother, sister, you, on our calendar. And when she passed away, every year I get a new calendar and I just copy over everything from the year before. And I just always put your birthdays on there. So even up till a couple years ago, before he passed, he always knew September 25th was my birthday. October 31st was Eric's birthday. So I thought that was pretty neat from for Jerry and Verletta. Kind of like Hattie Speaker, our babysitter. She had boxes full of newspaper clippings of us. And God bless
Oh,
Hattie. Her job was to keep us corralled upstairs in the apartment on a loud Friday or Saturday night. Make sure we weren't dangling any Ninja Turtles with shoestrings above people eating or
Uh-huh.
looking for movies.
That's it.
Yeah, she wasn't doing her job. I could tell you
Yeah.
that. I'm about standing by the ovens one night and I look out and I see this little Ninja Turtle coming down right on top of people's heads. In the booth.
Right behind the collar.
floor vents.
Yeah, through a floor vent. We had floor vents cut in the hole in the floor from upstairs, and you could take the vent out and it was drop stuff up through.
Yep. So I wore my Ninja Turtle shirt today.
Yeah.
And then we had that buzzer system, the intercom system. Like one buzz was if one of you was upstairs and they needed you, that meant come downstairs. Two buzz was our pizza was ready because we ate pizza 6 nights a week. And then you could hold it and talk into it. And it was knock it off or whatever. And then you could see that turtle just go right back up to the. But it
Yeah,
all
and
came.
several buzzes meant who, if she was up there, I need you right now.
Yeah.
I had to come quickly.
Yeah. It all came
And-
full
and-
circle. When we built our house, my wife and I in 2017, our boys were like 2.5, and we moved to the barn for 8 weeks with mom and dad. And we had 2.5-year-old twin boys upstairs in this little apartment, just like at Mark's. And on a Friday night, when it's people are dining down there and they'd be running around, the footsteps would be so loud, it would be like, "Hey, it's really loud up there." And I'm like, my wife, like, "You're gonna tell these 2.5-year-olds not to run around like 2.5-year-old boys?" I'm like, it was just kind of karma coming back, I think. So, oh,
Yeah.
And
Dan,
Mark, is your favorite song still "We Built This City"? Remember hearing that song on the jukebox?
Yeah. About
He would always
How about-
eject it from the jukebox. He'd be like, "Oh, that one skips or broken."
Every time I hear that song to this day, I think of Mark and how that was his favorite song because it got played over and over and over again.
after about 1,000 times, I was ready to get rid of that gearbox.
I
Yeah.
think about the same every time I hear it.
Oh, we heard that every night, 20 times a night.
does anyone remember when Dan tried to go to the other dimension one day? Do you remember anything about that? He was such a lover of Ninja Turtles.
oh,
No.
with the socket and the knives.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes, that was fireworks. I don't know. I remember standing behind the counter and you took a butter knife and shoved it in the electrical outlet and there were sparks flying and I think the
not-
only thing that saved you for some reason you had on rubber boots, like rain boots.
the
And
knife
yeah,
was all black.
Yeah, did the power go out?
I don't know about
Oh.
that. I'm sure you blew a fuse, whatever, but
Pocket
yeah,
breaker.
that was scary. You're lucky you stayed with us.
Yeah. Yep. I was probably 5 or 6, maybe.
Yeah, yep.
Well, other things too that I'm amazed I'm here is I had access to the roof, behind the back there's those old wooden steps, and then that like you go off to the left and there's like an apartment up there. Well, from above Mark's Pizza, that black roof, I could get up to Fedder's, and then you go over to the law office, you can go over the other way above the Ben Franklin store. I was like an 8-year-old kid just running around on this rooftop, 30, 40 feet in the air, and no one noticed. It was just they were working. Hattie was inside making pea gravy on toast like I had the other day, and um, doing if Walker usually it was when Walker Texas Ranger was on. I had free reign for about an hour to do whatever I wanted to. She was glued to the TV, but um, we had that sandbox underneath the stairs that you made with an old Piccadilly sign as the wood, and I used to knock on the door to our apartment, so Hattie would have to get up and open the door, and I could go underneath those stairs and press my legs straight and put my back on the wall, and she would open the door. No one was there. She'd shut it. I'd get back out and I'd knock on the door again and go back under the stairs, and you'd just hear her cussing up a storm. Get out of here, SO, and you're interrupting Walker. She had a lot of fun with Hattie up there.
We didn't pay her enough.
Yeah. And then 8 years later, Eric came around. Do you guys remember the announcement of my favorite little brother showing up?
Yeah, you weren't too happy. It was on Halloween and you guys wanted to go trick or treating. You didn't want no baby to mess that up for you.
Yeah, I was 8, and for a couple days, like, your mom might have the baby. And I'm like, gosh, it better not be on Halloween. And then at like 2 o'clock, the secretary, what was the elementary secretary's name? Not
Paula
Jane Hilton,
Friesman.
she was the nurse.
Paula
Friesman.
Friesman.
Paula Friesman calls Mrs. McCauley, my teacher, and says, Dan needs to come down to the office. And then they called my sister down because she was no, she would have been in middle school, but it was your brother's gonna be born, and I was pissed. I did not get to go trick-or-treating that night, and old little nurse lady at the hospital gave me a couple Smarties, and I'm like, that doesn't even make up for it. This isn't cool. So
Yeah, it sounds like he's still kind of mad about you.
Yep.
I told Eric when he hit 25 I'd forgive him. Then I switched it to 30, and then I kind of forgot about it this last birthday. So yeah. What do you guys remember about little Eric?
There's another one with Wendy and it must be Dan, you when you're just a baby.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Who's that in the picture?
Is that Misty?
Misty and
Misty,
Brenda,
Brenda,
and
and me.
Monica.
Well,
Yeah.
is that Misty's baby?
No, that's Dan.
It is Dan?
Dan.
Okay.
Yeah, because we babysit those. Yeah, I remember babysitting Dan and Wendy. And Dan, you weren't much trouble at all. I mean, you were a saint.
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, maybe it wasn't him. I don't know. August of '87.
They always said if you kept me fed every 15 minutes, I was a pretty good baby. So
I remember Wendy and her babies.
yeah.
Wendy was always bringing her babies downstairs in her stroller, feeding them lunch.
Eric, did she ever dress you up in her dresses and make you parade around the restaurant like she did me a couple times?
I don't really remember that, I guess.
Yeah,
Maybe you guys might remember that.
I think so. I think they put a dress on you and I remember you being so cute. Sorry.
And you guys remember Duane was with our first group too.
Oh yeah.
Duane Meyer.
Mm-hmm.
He was deaf. He was a heck of a good worker. Whenever I'd want his attention, I have to stomp my foot on the floor so he could feel it, turn around and read my lips when I had to tell him. Yeah, I just talked to him a few months ago. He's got some device now where he can talk back and forth over the phone.
No, Dad, that was when I was writing the book a couple years ago.
Okay.
I talked to Duane, and he had like a middle person, and it was a female that she would relay the information to me. And this lady said, Duane talking through this lady, he goes, "Do you know what your dad did to me one of my first weeks of work there?" I'm like, "No, what'd he do?" And he goes, "When I got there," and he goes, I'm deaf, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I know." And he goes, "Your dad told me that I was going to be manning the phones that night." I'm like, that sounds about right.
Well, that was a slow night.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good. So
I had to stay at their house one time when I got stuck down there in a snowstorm that first year when we was driving back and forth. And it was pretty interesting because, they were all deaf. And the phone would ring, lights would go off, or somebody's at the doorbell, the dog would bark and lights would go off. And then we're all sitting around eating a meal, and all of a sudden they all bust out laughing or looking at me. And I'm like, what? They go, "Oh, we just think it's funny that we can talk with our mouths full and you can't." For the sign language. Anyway,
yeah.
good story.
Did you guys get first? So like I'm thinking homecoming, when all the businesses got their windows painted. Did you guys get first dibs at Mark's Pizza since you work there? You gotta paint the windows.
I think I painted the window. Yeah, when I was a senior. Yeah.
Yeah, like was it Sunday afternoon? Everyone went up and got their window to paint and stuff. I remember as a kid that was a big deal. Living up there,
Yep.
go outside and watch everybody do that. All the movie posters in the window, the old cactus in the corner that they I think just got rid of a couple years ago. I don't know why that was always there, but it was. Um,
I don't know why, but I remember that cactus more than anything, I guess. It always sat out right in the window and it was, I don't know, kind of like a little bigger than the size of your fingers that went all over the place.
yep,
That's
it
something that
was.
sticks out in my head for some reason.
Let's put it in the one spot where every kid that walks in and out of that place can touch it.
Right.
It's one of those plants that just wouldn't die.
But you could throw it away. Just get rid of it. But yeah. What else do you guys remember? What stories do you have about Mark's Pizza and Video? Mark and Shelda's Pizza and Video.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
I always loved selling pizza by the slice out in front of the store, like during hobo days. And then the 1 year RAGBRAI came through and
Yeah.
we were so busy. And there were like hundreds of people eating in the street from, pizza and from the restaurants down the street. And the music was blaring and everybody was singing along. And it was just such a cool time.
We went through 120 large pizzas in like 2 hours for them guys. All I remember is I think every single one of them wanted to use our bathroom. There was a lineup all the way out to the street, all the way to the back, and our bathroom was about as big as a phone booth.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah, it was
small.
small
Big
and
like-
hot.
Little hot water heaters in there, yeah.
I can smell like that
And like-
hot water heater. Just had a kind of like
And
the
like-
old Britt swimming pool. Someone mentions that pool and you're like, I can smell it. Same with that hot water heater in the little triangular corner bathroom.
And like three of them would go in there at the same time. And I'm like, I don't want to know how this is working.
The sink, I think the sink got used a few times.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
I loved hobo days. I didn't get to ever work on the street because by then the nephews took it over.
Oh, yeah.
Right inside.
Yep. And I was always mad that they got to work out on the street. But I mean, coming up as soon as the parade was done, walking through the parade and getting there as soon as you could. And I remember days where you didn't leave the kitchen. Like just your job was to refill cheese and, all the sides. It was just so busy, but it was fun.
How
Yeah,
many?
we'd have to break the cheese.
And don't spill it.
Clumps and we'd have to
Yeah.
Yeah. Come out of your paycheck.
Your $2.01 turned to $2 even.
I remember one hobo day, we were so busy from 10 in the morning till 4 the next morning. I think we made like 400 pizzas. And I was in them ovens all day and I got like a sunburn from it. My face was red for like a week. So that was crazy. You guys remember this guy?
Oh,
Oh, yes, Holt. Richard Holt.
Yep.
Yes, he was there when I was there.
Yep. He worked there for a while.
Rich and Penny, right?
Yeah. He says, my name's Rich and she's Penny and we have no money.
Yeah. Yep. They had a couple daughters that were about my age. One was in my class, and I always thought that name was ironic. Yep. What was the process for hobo days with making like 400 pizzas? I mean, how many people did it take to make that flow and work?
I don't
Everyone.
know. We had to keep making more dough all day long and keep raising it in the buckets and then rolling it out and raising it in the pans. So it was a process. There was probably 6, 7 of us around doing it.
Because you were manning the oven, and usually in the morning you were making the dough, so you had to have at
Yep.
least a couple people.
And then you'd have 2 people making them because that's about all you had room for there.
This was like hand tossed dough, right? Where you had to make it the night before and then let it, or how did that go through that process? How you did that?
Make it about 9 o'clock in the morning. It would raise all day. And then about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we'd come in and roll it through the sheeter and put it on the pans and trim it. And then it would raise in the pans over the next couple hours.
And then we would dock them
To
down.
open at 3:30,
when we made 'em.
they'd be about ready. So it was a process.
Dock 'em hard. That's
Yeah.
what Perla would say. Dock 'em hard.
No, honestly, I was the opposite. I just wanted it barely touched.
Yep.
Wasn't there a few customers that requested it to be docked hard?
Yeah,
Yeah.
not many.
Did that make
The ones
it?
who knew Verla.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no one ever asked who was cooking on a certain night, did they ever?
Did they?
Is it Mark's night or is Shelda cooking tonight? They don't have any of that.
Were they waiting for me to leave? I could have left more often.
And then Mark, I think you came up with a couple pizzas from doing different experiments and stuff, didn't you? And then put them on the menu.
I remember the barbecue beef with pickles, and Jolene was super excited about the pickles. Barbecue beef with pickles. I think we had that like at our Christmas party one year.
Jolene?
Jolene and the hair.
The hair. Yeah.
We do shrimp pizza during Lent.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
Then the Mark's special with
I was just
green
gonna say that.
olives.
Hot one, yeah.
Yeah. What was all on that?
Pepperoni, Italian sausage, onion, green olive, jalapenos.
Ooh.
Okay.
What was the biggest seller? Like what type of pizza was usually the most popular?
Pepperoni, probably.
Pineapple.
Combo.
Pepperoni or combo.
Blanche said Canadian bacon pineapple.
That was mine.
And sauerkraut.
Sauerkraut. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I still eat that.
Oh, yes.
Like that.
We had a guy that would come in and eat, I want to say Marvin Jones. Remember Mindy Jones?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Her dad? Is that his name?
Yeah.
You mean Fran Marvin?
Fran Marvin. That was it. Yep.
Yep, he's my neighbor now.
Okay. Yep. That sounds right. He liked it hot. He would come in and get a small pizza, a Mark special, which is pretty hot to begin with. And he'd want extra jalapenos. And then when it came out to the table, he'd take them crushed red peppers and put a layer on about a 1/4 inch thick on there. And he would just sit there and eat the whole thing with nothing to drink.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
can I get you water or something, please? You know, nope, I'm fine. That
Yeah.
would just killed most
What did
people.
what did you add to the sauce? Was it just regular pizza sauce and then you put the red pepper flakes? I remember the sauce was really spicy.
There was a few things,
Was it
tobacco,
separate?
and some hot picante, and
Yeah, okay, yeah.
a couple other things.
I remember you made your own sauce for that though. That and the taco pizza, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Dad, how long did it take to cook a pizza in that oven?
Oh, usually it'll depend on the size and the thickness, anywhere from 10 to 17 minutes probably.
So I just remember I would always ask you to go play catch out in the alley, and you always kind of had an internal clock of how much time you had before you had to get, take the pizza out. And he'd get
Yeah, I
so
could see them in my mind when I was somewhere else. I knew about where they were at.
Yeah. And he'd get so mad at me because I wanted to throw the baseball as hard as I could at him as like a pitcher, and I'd always chuck it to the ground, and it would go back to the Red
Red
Rooster.
Rooster.
And he'd be like, "Well, there goes 4 of our 11 minutes we had before I got to get that pizza out." And he's just walking back and forth. And he'd get so mad at me. He goes, "Don't throw it so hard." I'm like, "I'm fine," and I'd get all mad at him, just like my boys do now, of course. So, yeah.
How many pizzas would fit in that oven?
The large ones I could get, well, I had 2 ovens, top and a bottom. I could get 6 in each one. So I could do 12 large at a time. If you got different sizes, you could, move them around a little bit. But there were certain areas in the ovens you couldn't put them in. They were too hot. There was hot spots and cold spots, and it was an art. It wasn't a science.
Yeah, and I'm sure, and to keep track of, different times you're putting pizzas in and which ones are done, and you're moving them probably to the front from the back, and
Yeah, always poking bubbles because they'd raise up in there and spin them around and shake them loose. And yeah, stood there for 18 years doing that.
Girls, how many pizza boxes could you put together in a couple minutes?
I was
Well,
fast.
we would race.
yeah.
Yep.
We have races, throw them on the pile as we went.
I can in my head kind of picture the process right now, like step by step. It almost kind of comes back to you when you think about it a little bit.
Or drying the pizza, the dishes or the what the pizza is on. To this day, I'm drying, after we have like a frozen pizza, and I just that brings back memories of drying all of those pizza pans, and then washing and drying them all. It's like,
Because
wow.
because if you didn't dry it really well, they'd kind of stick together a little
Stuck
bit and they'd
together.
be hard to get
Yeah.
apart. I just remember the first time I ever was doing the dishes and that last one where you dip it in at the end was just scalding hot. And the first time or two, you're thinking you're gonna have third-degree burns, and after a couple times you do it, you're like, I'm fine. It's just kind of second nature. But those first few attempts at putting your hand in there and getting those pans was not fun.
I remember one of the I think probably one of the first nights that I worked, and I think I started working between the summer between my eighth grade and my freshman year. So I had to walk home at night, and I got home late, and for whatever reason, one night I think we were still open. We were open to almost 11 back then. I get home and saw my dad, and he accused me of drinking, and I was like, I have been working. I've not. He's like, why do you smell like beer? And I was like, I don't know. And then I realized it was taking the dough off
Oh,
the
yeah.
pans.
Yeah, it had yeast in it and that kind of smelled like beer, yeah.
You were drinking. I wasn't drinking.
Well, I still remember when I was first starting there and doing the dishes, and Shelda was going through the process with me. And you told me a story, and I think about this every time I do dishes with somebody else. How when you were a kid, you and your brothers would have to do the dishes, and first they'd be like, "Oh, we'll dry, you wash." And then you'd almost be done, and they'd be like, "Hey, do you want to switch?" And then you'd be stuck drying all the dishes because they'd only have like one left to wash.
Yeah, she still falls for that one. There's another one of Jolene, and do you recognize the other girl?
Oh, yeah, I can't think of her name right now. What is it?
Amy Kitchen.
Oh, yeah,
Oh yeah.
Oh.
yeah. I've actually stayed in contact with Mrs. Kitchen over the years. I did an elementary teacher episode a couple years ago, and I was trying to get her on there, but her technology wasn't working, and we've called each other. I've called her a couple times over the last couple years to see how she's doing. So, yeah.
Here's another one.
Peggy.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Peggy Marchant.
Oh,
She worked for us for probably 4 years.
Yeah.
she was.
She must have been a little behind your group, you guys' group, or
I remember Peggy, but I don't remember working with her.
Yeah, I worked with her. I remember her.
yeah, there was no date on there. Another one with Peggy and the other one?
That's one of the Flayton girls, right?
Yeah.
Yep, Carrie.
Yeah, she had a twin, right?
Yeah.
Yep, yep.
Okay.
So I think it was Carrie.
Mhm.
Carrie's the one that worked for us anyway.
Right.
So, girls, when a job came open and my parents would advertise, how many friends of yours or classmates would apply for that job? And was it competitive? Were they asking you for like references, like, hey, put in a good word with Mark and Shelda for me?
I don't know that people that I put in a good word. I don't know that my friends were. I remember asking Shelda like who applied. I want to know. I want to screen them.
Yeah, I don't remember ever advertising that for
I don't
help.
think they're ever what we always had a stack of applications.
Girls would just come in and apply,
And guys.
and some guys, yeah.
Yeah, we had a whole stack of.
So we had, if somebody quit, we had who would we want next on that pile, or I don't remember a lot of that stuff, I guess, but
Mm-mm. That's Steph
Stephanie
Thompson.
Thompson, yep, Chris's sister.
We're probably gonna forget somebody.
Oh yeah, that's inevitable on something like this, especially when you had how many employees do you think you would have had over the years?
100? I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe 50 to 100.
Yeah. When I got to high school, it was Kathleen Brooks, Sarah Miller, um, Tyler Whitty was one of the few guys. I think him and I were the only guys that worked for a number of years. And story I told mom and dad, and I'm glad neither of them remembered it, and I'm going to tell it. But Tyler and I would sometimes use the extra dough to make artwork. I'll just leave it at that. And one time we made some artwork and we put it in a box and put it off to the side. And I think someone mistake that with some old lady's pizza and it got sent out. And she called back a little bit later and said, I didn't get my pizza, but I got some dough. And Tyler and I were like, oh crap. And I don't remember who answered the phone or who wasn't real happy with us. And I'm glad you guys don't remember, but the lady brought it back and we got her an actual pizza instead. Yeah. Like, let's
Well,
not
the
do
service
that again.
obviously went downhill at the end.
I don't remember hearing about that.
Yeah, so it must have been when like you were golfing one night. I don't know what the
Could be.
yeah, that was
Here's one for you.
Oh, Aaron and Dave.
oh, geez.
Oh,
Yeah, prom is like everyone always stopped by on prom night to
always-
show off
yep.
their dresses.
Yeah. I don't know who that is.
Oh gosh. That's me. Me and Therese.
Do you remember when I babysat for her?
I was talking to Eric earlier and I was like, that's one of my favorite pictures that Therese has in her baby book is her sleeping in your crib and Eric just peeking over at her.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
And I have a softball that I remember I pitched a no-hitter my senior year in June, and it was against Buffalo Center. And I knew that was Mark's alma mater, and I was pretty excited. And I remember I brought the softball up to you, Mark, to show you. And then you went and took your red pen, and then you signed it too, because the whole team had signed it. So then I have Mark's signature on it too with a red pen.
I wanted to add some value to it.
Yeah.
I think you told me that at that time too.
Oh.
you guys talked about like Verla was a little bit of a second mom, so was Blanche. How about Shelda? You guys went to my mom quite a bit for advice and help in some areas of life when it arose. What do you remember about having my mom there being kind of your work mom?
Shelda was more like a work sister.
Yes, that's what I would say. Shelda was
Yeah.
always fun, just always
Yeah.
a sense of humor, laughing, giggling, that giggle.
The shoulders.
The shoulder.
Yeah, the shoulders. Yep, yep. She made it fun. Her and Blanche. Verla,
Yeah.
she just wanted to. If you had time to lean, you had time to clean, and nobody wanted
Yep.
to work with her.
I was just gonna say
Just-
that
we'd
she
have
always
to take
wanted us
everything
clean.
off
Yeah,
the
the sign
shelves
up
and
that said that.
clean.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, who's the fourth girl?
So that's me in the purple, and then Andrea Nelson,
Yeah.
and then Aaron Brown, and then Corey. Because I want to say her married name now. Oh no,
Does it start with an F?
Fenton, Corey Fenton.
I don't know that name at all.
Couldn't figure out who that was. Yeah. Yeah, Andrea worked for us, and so did her sister Renee.
Yep. They kept things interesting.
Yeah, they did.
And
Mhm.
we had one worker who, when they did dishes, couldn't stand up and do them. So they always needed to. Oh, she leaving?
Oh, she's there.
Jeez.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was such, why stand when you could just sit here?
Remember
I
that
still do that
scene?
at home.
You should do the bangs like that again sometime, Carrie. That was a good look.
That was a lot of work. I don't think they make products like that anymore.
Dripping into the pizza.
There's one with Therese,
Oh yeah. Oh.
97.
How old is Therese now?
She'll be 29.
Jeez.
Yeah, yeah. And then when you all went up to the barn, I followed you up there too, because I worked in the barn for a while.
Ah, man, I forgot about that.
Switch the stool around for that one.
You get better leverage when you're on your knees.
Not gonna go there.
I forgot about that.
Mom, Dad, why was the timing right in like July of '02 to sell it to the Christensen family?
Oh, I think we were just really burnt out. Just like I said, stood in one place for 18 years, and it's kind of like Forrest Gump when he runs and all of a sudden he stops in the middle of the road. I'm done running now. I think it was one of those moments. I was just kind of like, yeah, I'm done. Like you say, then we went to something that was even longer hours.
Yeah.
We weren't too smart.
You had about a year where you worked for Denny Threlkeld and Mom worked at the nursing home. Was that in that between time?
Yep, and then we had the movie store in the Chouse.
Yeah.
Um, Christensen's didn't want to buy all them movies. They wanted to kind of start fresh. They didn't want 6,000 movies that wouldn't rent out. They were old ones, by then.
And DVDs were kind of taking
DVDs were
over.
becoming the thing, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just time.
Yep. How long do you guys remember Carrie and Monica that lives in Britt now? How long did Christensen's own it before they sold it to Damon and Karen?
I don't remember. My mom worked for them part-time when they were there, but I don't remember how long that was. Not near as long as Mark and Shelda were. So
Did your mom work for us some too?
and she might have. Was she there at the very end for the last couple of years?
He might have
Might
been.
have been a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
Cheryl Noss was at the end, and I think it's her
Oh, yeah,
birthday
sure.
today or yesterday. I saw on Facebook.
Joyce Wellick.
Joyce.
Did one of her daughters work for us? I was trying to think if they did or not. Seemed like one of them might have for just a short while.
No.
Kathy, maybe? Kathy?
Could have been.
Kathy would have been my age. I graduated with her. I don't remember working there, but maybe her senior year.
Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, and I didn't work there my senior year.
Deb Johnson, I think, worked for us for a little while. Bob and Deb.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um,
For adults.
Nathan.
Nate Lemon.
I worked with Nate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was fun.
Here's somebody in prom, it looks like.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, wow. Wendy, yeah.
Prom 92, it says.
Yeah.
Dad in his polos even back then. Has
Oh,
anyone
yeah.
ever seen him without a polo on?
I've never not seen him with a polo. He's always wearing a polo everywhere he goes.
Uh,
Don't fix it if it isn't broke.
That's right.
uh,
Oh,
Eric,
one more adult that I can think of.
who's that?
Karen Hubby.
Karen Hovey.
Maybe.
Oh,
Oh,
Her husband, the band teacher. Or
yeah. Yep. When you said hubby, I
Oh.
knew he was a music teacher. Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah. As we're kind of wrapping this up, number one, Eric, what do you remember about Mark's Pizza? You would have been like 8, not even 8 when they sold it.
To be honest, I don't really remember a whole lot, I guess. I do remember, like, I've been into the titanium lunchbox in the last couple of years, and the ceiling's a lot lower. I remember the ceiling being a lot higher. And I think they added a wall maybe on the northwest side. The northwest corner used to go further back.
Yep.
Like you said earlier, I remember that cactus, that little fingery, small, prickly cactus. Um, I barely remember the upstairs. I really don't remember much from upstairs.
Oh, that
But
apartment, you guys had your water bed that took up all but about 4 inches of that room. Um, I'm like, man, if I just remember being a little kid, we'd jump on that thing and run around on it. I'm like, we're up above a restaurant. If that thing ever bursts, there's going to be some problems. Um, and then we had those orange stools, I think that we took from downstairs and put them upstairs, and we had like a massive island. with those
Yeah, Jerry built
gaudy,
the
bright
kitchens up there.
orange brown stools that spun around. We had a lot of fun with that. And then um, that
Jerry
back
built that
room.
whole kitchen area up there with cupboards and stuff. And
You know,
So I think I was in first or second grade when Mark's Pizza came to an end. And then I went to West Hancock through third grade and then started at North Isle Buffalo Center in fourth grade.
you know,
So I just can't totally remember everything.
I just remember for one day a year, Wendy and I were the most popular kids at Britt Elementary School on our birthday or whenever we got to bring pizza as our birthday treat. That was a huge deal. And I remember a couple classmates and friends of mine said their parents would request to Mr. Carter that they be in my homeroom so they could get the pizza on my birthday. They always said, make sure I'm with Danny. They wanted to have the birthday party. Misty and Sarah Miller.
Sarah Miller, yeah. I'll just show you
Misty
some
Erdahl.
pictures quick if you got to wrap it up.
Nikki Erdahl worked there
Misty and
too.
Nikki. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, both.
Yeah, Nikki. And
Misty there, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wendy's mid
I just
90s.
remember down that long hallway, there was video games.
yep.
Yep.
And then Mark would sit there and play video games for hours.
Oh, Hannah Whitty and Tatum Dawn. Yep.
Tatum, yeah.
They worked there. That was kind of late 90s, early 2000s. And then Tyler jumped in and worked with me a lot.
Renee Nelson.
Renee.
Yeah.
And we already did Andrea, I think. There's another one with Misty, and I don't know if that was her boyfriend at the time or just a prom date.
Oh,
It must have been prom date. It looks like Topher.
It
Oh,
was
before,
yep. I was just gonna
Chris
say,
Johnson.
Yeah.
oh. Man, you guys, well, I shouldn't be surprised you got all these pictures still.
Oh, we got a lot more somewhere. We just dug these out in a quick minute.
Tatum and was that Renee's daughter?
I think so.
Or
Yeah.
Andrea's one of them.
Yeah,
Renee.
Ariel.
Ariel.
Yep. Yep. So as he's going through his pictures here, as we're wrapping it up, what's like a
Yep.
lasting memory or takeaway you guys have of Mark's Pizza and video?
Brooke.
Brooke.
Candace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lasting.
What's something that just kind of a big picture stands out to you guys? Carrie, Monica, Denise, Blanche, Gail. What are some?
I miss the pizza.
Yeah.
Can we go back to that? Nothing ever tastes the same.
That's right.
Rachel
Yeah.
Ritchie.
Yeah, and Bill and Blanche and I remember that table. I think I had that in my first apartment when I got out of college.
I think for me, what really stands out, I've been thinking about this lately too, that I just really appreciated Mark and Shelda just treated us like adults. We were kids and we were probably annoying a lot of the time, but I never felt belittled. I never felt shamed. It was just a safe place to work where I felt like I could show up as myself. And if something was going on, I could, talk to Shelda about it or anybody else. So it's just a really great place to work. And I think you all just really modeled what it means to be a boss. And I've just always appreciated that.
Thanks.
Well, we weren't much older than you guys at the first.
That's true.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
started it when we were 25.
Yeah.
And who's older, mom and dad, you or Blanche? Are you guys about the same age? Is that?
Nobody's gonna catch up with me. Nobody.
Zelda and Blanche are about the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I just want to
Lori
thank
Hire.
Mark. You
What?
always seen that I got to my car. He would stand by the door. Sometimes he'd even walk me to the car if I had to park ahead or in behind. And I felt safe there always.
I was probably on my way to the Hobnob, so.
Yeah, I was gonna say you always about
My
8
eyes.
o'clock you had to walk to the
I'll get to
hot
my-
Never
yeah.
watched him.
Well, you were all pretty important to us too.
And this guy spent our first dollar we got was from this guy.
Bill Uckles.
Bill.
Yeah,
Bill,
Bill.
the shoe store guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dabbler shop. Did anyone ever watch Bill eat pizza?
You had to pay attention because it was quick.
Bill would come over and I'd be hanging out in the summer and he goes, Dan, you want to split a medium with me? And I'm like, sure. And Dad would make him one. And I would have a half a piece gone and he'd be done with his half of the medium. He ate so fast. I'm like, Bill, you gotta be the fastest eater I've ever seen in my life. And he goes, my brother puts me to shame. Just, he wouldn't even, I'm like, you don't even taste your food, Bill. But
He would be the first person in the door every day we opened up.
Yeah.
Bill came over twice a day during the week for 18 years, Monday through Saturday, for coffee. I just found this picture, just thought John Swenson.
Oh, boy.
Like,
Oh,
what he
my
looked like
God.
in
My goodness.
1992.
Wow.
yeah.
I can remember on Sundays too, after church we get out, there'd be like a couple or two that will always come in every Sunday night after church.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and some of those people, when we went to the barn, they would come out there too on Sunday night when we had pizza there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Same people.
This is crazy days, 1985. So we must have just opened.
Oh, geez.
Can't believe how I fit in those clothes there.
Not your style, but I'm glad you
No.
wore it.
One more. That was our, remember the lion outfit?
And the
Yeah.
pizza
Yeah.
parties for
Yeah.
the
Oh.
birthday parties.
Oh, yeah, I had lots of them.
Little Nick Schmidt.
Oh, yeah,
That's
that's
Nick.
Nick Schmidt.
Nick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's Nick.
I remember how bad that costume smelled on the inside. I'd put the head on once in a while. It was horrible.
I've got a good story about that costume, but you don't want me to tell it.
For another day.
I'm intrigued.
Do you have time? Do we have time?
No.
Yeah, we got time.
I'll keep it PG.
Yep. You can't not tell it now.
We just opened October 3rd, and we were going to have a grand opening. So the guy from Piccadilly got this to me, the lion outfit. It was Halloween night, and over at the Hobnob, they're having a costume party. We really didn't know a lot of people yet. We were just meeting people. So I put that suit on, and I go over to the Hobnob after we kind of finished up the night, probably 9 o'clock or so. And nobody knew who I was under there. And they were all trying to guess who was in the lion outfit. And Jane Nielsen and her crew, I don't remember who was with her. Linda Barker, probably Pat Mattoon, Bonnie Vavrick, Carrie Fermonic. There's a table of about 10 women. By this time of the night, they're getting well oiled. And they're trying to guess who I am. It's just bugging them like crazy. They're saying this name and that name and blah. And I think a couple of them even came up and might have pinched my buns to see if they could tell who it was by that. And I was just having a good go with it. I was drinking beer through a straw because I had the head on. And that hit me pretty hard too. And anyway, after about 2 hours, they pretty much tackled me and took the head off of me. And you've never seen a bunch of women so embarrassed in all their lives, turning all kinds of red. But they got over it pretty quick. You knew Jane and Linda and them, you could hear them.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
Nice.
So, that's probably why that thing stunk so bad. I was in it for 2 hours sweating in the hobnob.
The occasional beer spill inside it too, I'm sure. Yeah, birthday parties at Mark's Pizza. I remember kids had a blast, but I think mom was always like, ugh, another birthday
No.
party.
It was fun, but it was kind of fun to see him.
Loud.
Well,
Wow.
I think she made cakes for every one of them, or most of them.
Yeah.
And I wasn't
remember
very
the
good at it. So I kind of stressed.
And those we even had balloons with the Mark's Pizza logo on it. It was just fancy stuff back then.
Yeah.
What did you charge for a birthday party there? Was it just for the price of food and cake, or was there like a fee that went with that?
Don't remember.
I don't remember
I
either.
don't think we charged any extra, maybe something for the cake,
Yeah.
no?
Or did we have a couple different package sizes or something?
We might have.
Yeah.
Did a lot of them. When I was looking through pictures, I seen just tons of them with birthday parties with all the little kids.
It's fun to look back at those pictures of everybody.
Well, I just remember you'd have boxes of pictures and it would be other kids' birthday parties. It wasn't like my birthday party or Wendy's. It was Nick Schmidt's birthday party and Jesse Barker's birthday party. And I was like, what? Well, I'm not surprised you kept them all, but it's like, why do you still have all these? But just
Well, yeah, I
did.
save everything.
Yeah. Yep. We're aware. Yeah.
Saving it for our kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah,
Someday this will all be yours.
All be Eric's. Yeah.
Yep.
Probably all go in the dumpster.
The dumpster mom was in behind Mark's Pizza there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Fedder's had a cage thing back there for all their recycling. Do you guys remember? It was probably late 90s. But they had a wooden structure with like chain link and they just filled it up with recycling.
Yeah.
And I remember sticking Eric in there a few times and shutting the thing on the outside and pretending to walk away. We were always pretty nice to him, so
Uh-huh.
yeah. But anyway, let's wrap this thing up. Shelda's usually in bed quite a while ago. Blanche, I know you're up till midnight most nights, right?
well, sometimes, but
Yeah.
yeah, about 10 o'clock, I shut the lights off.
Yep. So we better get.
Did you have your plaque with
Oh, yeah, you didn't see it?
retirement plaque? Hold it up. When Blanche retired, we took everybody out to eat and we gave her a plaque, said thanks for your years of service, and down at the bottom, I can't see it, but
Blanche did good.
Blanche did good. What's the date?
5th month of 1st, 92.
May 1st of 92?
I can't remember what I did special that day that I would get a plaque. They
I
were
don't
really
remember either, but
nice.
you were really excited about it.
I think you didn't make any mistakes.
Probably. I don't know.
All the kids were disappointed that they didn't get free pizza, but you were proud you did good.
Yeah.
I was so surprised when I got that plaque. I thought, what did I do right? Oh, well. Had
All
a
right,
good
well,
run.
it's a good stopping point here, unless anyone has anything else to add. Coming up on the podcast in a couple weeks, I'm going to talk to Giovanni Garcia, who just won the long jump state championship as a sophomore at the state track meet. And then I got Kennedy Kelly, Paul and Connor Sonius, and then Jesse Barker, kind of my next few episodes to get me into about July or so. So, again, any last minute things you guys want to throw out there before we wrap it up?
No, just say good to see you, Denise. Haven't seen you in forever. The rest of you I see once in a while.
So good to see you guys. It was my first job, and you guys, taught me how to be a good employee, and you made it fun every day. I loved going to work.
Good.
Good.
Best job
Yeah, it
I've
was-
had.
It's my first job too, and one thing I remember is the cash registers back then, they weren't electronic. They'd tell you change, and you had to actually count the change back to the people. Nowadays, it's all electronic, and it's amazing. Sometimes these kids still can't give you the right change, even though it says right there, how much change to give back. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I learned a lot, you guys, and yeah, I had a lot of fun and a lot of great memories.
Yeah.
A lot of laughs, a lot of laughs. It was always fun.
Yep, you did too.
Yeah.
Oh.
Thank you much. Thanks, Dan, too, for
You bet. And my last thing is I had a pretty good childhood. I grew up in a pizza restaurant and movie store. The only thing I question from my childhood that I wonder, like, now that I'm a dad, what was I thinking? When Jurassic Park came out in 1993, I was like 7. And do you guys remember that little tiny TV above that fridge freezer in the corner where the bathroom was? He had a
Yeah.
little like 12-inch TV up there, and we hooked up a VHS player to it. And when Jurassic Park came out, he goes, "Do you want to watch it with me?" Sure. And it was like 9 o'clock at night. He turns all the lights off, locks the doors, and we watch dinosaurs eating people. And I legit still have dinosaur nightmares at least a couple times a year, 30 years later. And I'm like, I was 7, Dad. What were like But like movies, I got a League of Their Own. I think I wore that tape out. I watched it every chance I could. I knew all the numbers to the movies. When the movies I remember like a Friday or Saturday or Sunday morning when they'd come through that little slot on that door next to the restaurant. I'd come down the stairs from the apartment. It would just be it felt like it was a 6 foot high mountain of VHS tapes. And it was my job and Dad's job to carry them all up to the front and get them all
Oh,
put away. And that was a big deal to me. It was just like just
yeah, the Halloween ice storm knocked out the cable in town for a week.
yeah.
Every night for a week, we had like 500 movies go out. People were just coming in and grabbing 10 of anything and everything. And then they pile them in there, spend half a day putting them away every day.
Cable's out. We should go do something. No, just get movies. And then yeah, we transitioned to the barn, and I go from pretty much living above a pizza restaurant to living out at a golf course. It was a pretty good childhood, and um, I come home for Hall of Fame stuff and hobo days and just football and random stuff, and every single time I'm back in Britt, what conversation comes up? Mark's Pizza. It's always talking about that. And I joke with people because some people will be like, it just hasn't tasted the same. And I'm like, no, I've been at Titanium. It's good pizza. You guys just attach that pizza to nostalgia. It was, you know, there was that sign you had of something about pizza and fill in the blank, but when it's good, it's great, and when it's bad, it's still pretty good. But I always tell people like, you guys just remember the memories that came with that place of all the movies on the shelf and the video games and all that stuff. So it was just a great childhood, and I always had a great time being that kid that got to have their parents own the pizza restaurant and movie store. It came with a lot of perks. So, yep, Verla and Jerry and Blanche and all you guys and the ones I worked with growing up, there's a lot of good memories. So, yep.
And if we missed anybody out there, sorry, our memories aren't that best anymore. So that was 40 years ago.
But your technology skills are pretty good as evidence.
Yeah, well, we had to rush here to do this, and I left my list at home of all the employees we could think of. So
Yeah. Well, they'll send it to me and I'll put it on the post later. So,
there's a lot more of them.
yep.
But
We had a
All right,
lot.
well, I appreciate you guys coming on. This was a good time. I always end with Go Eagles. This wasn't really about sports, so what was you guys sponsored a little league team for a number of years, wasn't it? The Pirates, Mark's Pizza Pirates. You remember that?
I don't remember what the name was.
That was like a weird looking purple shirt. I think it was Mark's Pizza's Pirates.
Yeah, I remember the shirts.
Yeah. So there we go. We'll end with Go Pirates.
Pirates?
Yeah.
Pizza Pirates.
There you go. All right. Well, thanks again, everybody, for watching. Again, if you want to give to the Sanger Legacy Fund, you can go to sangerstrong.com. Coming up, we got the alumni gathering at Hobo Day Fridays or Friday. The Hall of Fame will be August 29th, and we got a Britt West Hancock Wrestling reunion on August 30th. So get back to Britt and get to some of those things this coming summer and fall. So, all right. Thanks again, everybody. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan. Thank